What's up, everybody? Rivers. Come here, buddy. Sit up here and relax. Rivers is going a little nuts there. How's it going, everybody? Tomorrow, LSU playing in Houston for the Texas Bowl. The Tax Act Texas Bowl. Okay. And we've seen the roster. I don't know if you've seen the roster. Two cornerbacks, one quarterback now. Garrett Nussmeier not on the roster anymore. Only two scholarship running backs as well. LSU, the shape Coach Ed Orgeron left this roster is unbelievable. I cannot even fathom just how to have 38 scholarship players heading into a bowl game. Okay, mind you, LSU's first bowl game since the 2019 national championship game, and we are so stricken at the roster positions. It's just unbelievable. The positions that matter to two cornerbacks on the roster. Unbelievable. Bring me your thoughts, your questions about the game tomorrow. I want to hear what you have to say about this game, because this game, there's a lot of talk about who's not playing, who's not going to be there. We're going to talk about who's going to be there. Kind of a follow-up to our article on LSUODYSSEY.com, top 10 Tigers you have to watch out for tomorrow. This game, a late one. I believe it's going to be on ESPN as well. LSU, Kansas State. Kansas State, we went into them in our LSU Odyssey overview of the whole Texas Bowl thing. And, everyone's been focusing on everything, it seems, but the game, but the opponent. We went into Kansas State pretty big time on our December 17th piece. Really, the player I feel we have to watch out most for has to be Deuce Vaughn. I mean, this guy, he's ranking first for Kansas State, of course, in rushing touchdowns, but he's also leading them in receiving yards, receptions, and receiving touchdowns. Okay, I know. Riv grumbles about that. I know. We got to shut him down, Riv. We got to shut Deuce Vaughn down. That's the guy we got to shut down. Their offense is very one-dimensional. I think it's 11 touchdown passes between their three quarterbacks. Skylar Thompson, I believe, leading them with 9 total touchdown passes. Okay, they're very one-dimensional, very stoppable offense. Okay, so LSU are going to have a lot of chances on offense. What are we going to be able to do with the question mark quarterback? Who's going to start at quarterback for LSU? I want to hear what you have to say, because we've had some clues, we've had some hints sent our way, and we think we know who it's going to be. So bring us your opinions of who you believe will be this quarterback. Is it Tavion Falk? Is Matt O'Dowd on crutches, or is he able to play? That's something that I have been investigating as well. It seems like LSU, Garrett Nussmeier has taken himself out of contention to play quarterback tomorrow for LSU. that was news that was interesting. I understand why, preserve that red shirt, but after all the talk of, wanting to burn the red shirt, I want to play, and then you do that, it's kind of odd. It's kind of odd. But that was what Coach Ed Orgeron said about the situation. Just remember that. That's what Coach Ed Orgeron put out into the media. The situation could have been completely different than what Orgeron put out there. Just remember that as well. Who knows what motivations he had for spinning that or putting that out there. It was bizarre, out of this world comment um, from a head coach to hear. And, that this is the same man who's left this roster in such disarray. And how is Brad Davis going to navigate this sort of 4 quarters? A game that's probably going to have a few injuries, like every game does. There might be some positive COVID tests right in the run up to the game. The day of the game, like there always will be in this pandemic era. And how many Tigers are we really going to be down? How many walk-ons are going to be out there for LSU? That's is it a staggering thing to think of LSU playing with a 3/4, 40%, 50%, maybe? No, let's be honest. Maybe it could be even maybe like 55% walk-ons out there. That could be the ratio. 55% players out there could be walk-ons at the end of it. It seems like the offensive line is mostly intact. That's like one good thing. But you look at the linebacker position too. We have like 4 guys on that roster sheet. 4 total guys. I know we've got Lane Blue, a few other guys, walk-ons who can fulfill a few roles playing at linebacker, but we've come down to the bare bones here. You're going to start discovering who Everett Gerard is, Ralph Walker at DB. You're going to start to know who Quinton Pig Cage is, because he's going to be out there, I feel, a lot of the time. Probably used at corner more than nickel. That'll be interesting. See where they put Sage, see where they put Pig Cage. Our defense, we have a bunch of chances here to create turnovers, and that's Jay Ward. This guy's kind of a turnover factory. 7 all-time turnovers in his career over the last 2 years. Almost returning one for a touchdown this year. Just barely had his foot out of bounds. Although there was no definitive proof that he really stepped out. Of course, he told me he did not step out. But he picked 6 against Ole Miss. Unbelievable on the knees pick against Florida. The punch-out fumble against Alabama. He's continued that this year, leading the team with interceptions with 2. Had another forced fumble as well. Had that sickening, disgusting, vicious hit on Bryce Young in that Alabama game. He's just had so many moments this year, Jay Ward. I feel like tomorrow is going to be a game where he's just flying around, just influencing everyone to be playing like absolute Tiger menaces. I really feel like Kansas State has no chance in this game. Really, I feel like LSU are going to swallow them whole. I don't think anybody's going to see it coming. AD says, "Hey, yo, AD's in the house. What's up, my man?" That's the thing, is AD's probably heard it too all over the internet, haven't you, man? Just a bunch of people just discounting LSU because of the numbers. I get it. And it's going to be attrition unlike anything we've seen. This is historically bad as far as roster management for LSU's football program. It will probably never get to this level again because of what we're seeing here. And I just, what can we produce? What can we do? I think there's a hell of a lot we can do. I think we have so much talent on this team. Corey Kiner running the football. Even Josh Williams, I think, could do some damage against Kansas State's defense. Kansas State is an average defense, an average Big 12 defense. Okay. I don't think LSU are going to have a problem. It's just who's going to be at quarterback. If it's Tavion Falk, if he can extend plays here and there, if he can, complete some short passes, maybe get 30 to 40 rushing yards in the game. Tavion Falk, maybe throw for 190. Just don't throw a pick. LSU will win this game. What I would have loved to see, really what I would have loved to see is Garrett Nussmeier start this game and set some type of crazy record with Jack Besh, because I believe that was on the table against this Kansas State defense, not really suspecting it. I think Garrett Nussmeier could have achieved that. I feel like he needed that kind of boost going into this season, but he's going to preserve that season. I think that season probably more valuable to him. I just cannot believe that the NCAA would not grant that waiver. Makes no sense to me. AD, I'm really surprised that we're playing this game. Yeah, I am. There's a lot of people saying that there's some moral, ethical, boundaries that are being crossed by playing this game, and perhaps so. Perhaps this whole bowl season, you could argue, it shouldn't be played. All these concerts being canceled, all this stuff, But I feel like it's more damaging to not play this game, especially for LSU. I feel like LSU's team need this. I really believe in that. I really believe there's players who are committed to this team: Jaquelin Roy, Mason Smith, Sage Ryan, Jack Besh, Corey Kiner, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. The list goes on and on and on. Jeray Jenkins, even. He's on his last game as a Tiger, but still, he's going to show out tomorrow, or hopefully lead the receivers with the type of influence to get those guys to show out. But it just comes down to also simply who the hell is LSU having a quarterback, because that's going to influence all of this. It doesn't matter what we say or I say about how we need to get Jack Besh open, how we need to give Jack Besh the ball, how we need to do this or do that. Like, it doesn't matter, because we need to figure out who the hell is playing quarterback. And that's what's concerning me, is who's playing quarterback. Jontre Kirkland? Are we really going to go down the Jontre Kirkland route? Wide receiver, doubling as a quarterback now? It could be one of those games where you just go for it like that, but Tavion Falk has actually had snaps as a quarterback in this offense. So I think Jake Peetz would feel a lot more comfortable going with Tavion Falk. If something is to happen to Tavion Falk, then I don't think Jake Peetz would think twice about putting Jontre Kirkland in. At that point, it would be all hands on deck, just pedal to the metal, go for it, because at that point, we're just the Walking Dead, just dropping bodies everywhere. I'm really kind of annoyed. Not at the guys who opted out. I don't understand why everybody's going after the guys who opted out. There's heavy financial reasons in a time of heavy uncertainty that it's like, how could you even blame them? Like, that's crazy. But the guys who got absolutely hammered by the compliance department, it's tough whether to know if they're casualties of Coach Ed Orgeron's system and just rancid oversight, or if this is absolutely, their own doing. Guys like Dwight Nudie McGlothern, this is a hometown game for him. This would have been a hometown game for Dwight McGlothern. Coming back to Houston. Instead, he's not going to get that opportunity. That's really a shame. I'm not gonna put out the information about that, but it's a shame he cannot play, and it's not. I wouldn't put this all on him. I'm gonna say that. I wouldn't, condemn him for these decisions that are being made by people who have nothing to do with the game itself, and are really hurting LSU from within right now. You thought Bo Bonson was bad. Well, it seems like there's some other people LSU compliance could do without. At the same time, you got to have your shit in order. And it's shocking how many of these players have been left in bad positions by the Coach Ed Orgeron regime. I don't want to harp on it, but my God, I mean, it's just stunning, because here's the proof. If you're going to go after Coach Owen, but then you don't want to hear it months later when we actually have the proof of what he's done and the damage he's done, then what are you even talking about in the first place? Like, hopefully, and it appears this is the way we're going already. LSU is going in a direction where just the complete opposite of Coach Ed Orgeron. Just everything in tone. Everything in tone is just completely opposite. And number one is just look at how quiet we are on the quarterback situation. Coach O would have already told you the quarterback's social security number, his birthday, his favorite color. Coach O would have told us everything. And now we have, us, and therefore Kansas State have no clue. And so it's very interesting to see who we're actually going to be left with at quarterback. I'm hearing whispers of Matt O'Dowd being on crutches, not available. He wasn't on the depth chart. It's sad, because he probably would have gotten this chance. Matt O'Dowd would have probably gotten this chance. We were writing a story about Matt O'Dowd. Matt O'Dowd's LSU Odyssey there on our website, LSUODYSSEY.COM. Going into depth about Matt O'Dowd and how he transferred to Parkland High, and kind of restored the faith of that community, with that team having their best season since 2007. Just unbelievable heroism by some of the people who were victims of that day, and kind of a tribute piece to them, and tribute piece to what Matt was able to do. And it was hopefully, I was really hoping it was going to tie in right when the news came in. Matt O'Dowd will start for LSU at the Texas Bowl, and I was hoping to break that news too. And then when you see the roster, he's not on it. And then, I find out why. It's a shame. There's just, and then Cordell Flott news we broke as well today. Actually, I should say last night, when we put out that piece saying that he was going to be entering the NFL draft. Garrett Nussmeier also. I mean, inexplicable absences, and big absences for LSU. Big absences. And I don't know why Cordell Flott heading to the NFL right now. I don't feel like that's a smart decision. Do you guys feel like that's a smart decision? I just feel like Cordell Flott with another season would be just an absolute freight train freak. But we'll see. Got a comment here. Poe English says, we play better when we are short on players. It's so true. When our back's against the wall, I don't know why, but I am not worried at all about LSU playing in this game. I feel like Brad Davis is going to kick so much ass as our coach. I think what he's doing is, first of all, it's historic, but he's also implementing what Brian Kelly wants this team to look like in 2022 in the fall, but right now. And he's making history. Brad Davis, he's going to become the first ever black head coach in LSU Tigers football history tomorrow. That is important. That is huge. It is not only worth noting, it is worth underlining. This is history. And I think it's awesome that Brad Davis, in his debut campaign with LSU back home in his home state of Louisiana, a place where it looks like he's going to be staying for a while, that he is chosen for this moment. It's, everybody was thinking Mickey Joseph, Corey Raymond, those guys went out the door, but it just seemed like when Brad Davis was announced, it's like this guy was always probably going to get this job anyway because he got it before Raymond and Mickey Joseph were out the door, which told me a lot about Brad Davis as a coach, as a man, why he's ready for this. And like my man A.D. Perkins told me earlier, he sounds, looks, speaks, carries himself like he's a head coach already, doesn't he? I mean, Brad Davis, I feel like this is going to be a great game to watch him coach up close and personal, seeing him throughout the game, making these decisions. And I think you're already seeing a more, like, do you feel like Brad Davis would have had a better season in 2021, win or loss record, than Coach Ed Orgeron? I do. Flashback to September 4th, UCLA. If Brad Davis was the head coach instead of Coach Ed Orgeron, what happens? Do we overcome UCLA? Do we fall prey to UCLA just like we did this season? I think Brad Davis, actually has far more success than Orgeron would have had. 6-6, just 500 over the last two seasons. It's inexplicable. It's unbelievable. I can't. And 38 scholarship players, but not only that, this is like the third, fourth, fifth time or something like that in the last two seasons. LSU have been so bone thin, squad-wise. And I understand the pandemic has accelerated those issues. I understand. But when you actually looked at it, it was like maybe like two or three guys, who were out for COVID here and there. It was more this other bullshit. Anyway, Tigers to watch. I feel like, B.J. Ojulari is going to have a hell of a game. I think this is the type of game for him to just attack. And I think he's going to have a few solo stops against, Deuce Vaughn in space that he's going to have to pull off. I think he will. I think you've seen him have fantastic stopping power this last season as a tackler. B.J. Ojulari has been complete in 2021 as a defensive player. He's been able to drop deep in coverage. he's had a far more mature season than his freshman year. I just love what I've seen from B.J. Ojulari. And I think you're going to see that as well from Jaquelin Roy up the gut. And then they're going to bring along freshman Mason Smith, sophomore Jacobian Guillory. I think he's going to also have a big day. I think our defense is going to be absolutely unstoppable. We're going to absolutely maul Kansas State. The questions, if Kansas State can like complete short passes against us, and our kind of third, fourth, fifth string corners can't do anything about it. Actually, no, forget it. Third, fourth. This is like sixth or seventh string corners can't do anything about it. Then it could be a very bizarre long night for LSU's defense where we could end up with maybe 9-10 sacks on the quarterback, but we could also allow like over 30 points and like over 300 yards passing to a team that has 11 total passing touchdowns entering this game. That could happen if our linebacking core isn't up to snuff. They're not able to stop these guys after the catch. But I don't think Kansas State's receiving core is that good. Do you really think they're going to out Fox, Sage Ryan? I mean, it's just crazy though. I'm thinking of like, okay, Darius Jones has got to be there, right? Darren Evans has got to be there. Neither are there. So Darren Evans, Darius Jones, Dwight McGlothern, of course, starter. Cordell Flott, of course, opting out, going to the NFL draft. 4 right there. Then Eli, Derek. 6 corners for LSU have been gone through. Like, we've gone through 6 starting corner pairs. Or 6 corners and 3 starting pairs this season. I don't know if I'm trying to hold in my vomit or just staring in contemplation, but that is disgusting. Sickening. And then if you look at the quarterback position, look at the guys we entered that spring game with, Miles Brennan, Max Johnson, TJ Finley, Garrett Nussmeier. We can't even convince Garrett Nussmeier to play a game for us. Max Johnson's, of course, transferred to our arch rivals, the team he just beat for LSU to keep us at 500, Texas A&M, and he took his brother with him, of course. How could we let that happen? And it's not we, it's Orgeron. It was the actions of Orgeron throughout the season made that transfer happen. We'll tell you that. And then TJ Finley, of course, out to Auburn before the competition even really begins because he's too turnover happy in the spring game as he was in the 2020 season. And it's just now we're down to Tavion Falk, Matt O'Dowd, who is on crutches, it seems, isn't available. Who's going to play quarterback for LSU? John Trey Kirkland, receiver? This is madness. This is madness. Truly, because Darius Jones, he played a little quarterback in high school. He's not even available there. Like, LSU are down to not even the 6th or 7th string guys here in some of these positions. It's stunning. It's stunning to me. Poe English says, run Wildcat mixed with play action, dink and dunk all night with the pound game because the energy around LSU players is very different. That's what I would want to do. That's what I want to do is just – because here's the thing. That Pizza has repeatedly failed to understand about what made the 2019 offense great. Get the guys the ball and let them go after the catch. Let them make plays. Get them the ball with a smart blocking scheme to kind of set them free if you want to get smart with it. But sometimes you just have to be simple and just get them the damn ball and just go with it. Pedal to the metal. and let them make the plays after the catch. Instead, it's just been this haphazard, the only way we can throw Jack Bech the football is if he goes on an 80-yard streak route and catches it one-handed over someone's head. Like, no. Like, when Bech and Walker Howard were just explosive with the St. Thomas More offense, was when Walker Howard just throw him a little slant, throw him a screen, and just there would be a beautiful path of the outside blocking schemes, pulling guards, pulling tackles, everything, and nice tight end play as well to set him free. Or sometimes Bech would just be going solo and just go madman on everybody like a cannibal. Malik Neighbors too. You saw how explosive he was. 35.4, I think it was 35.8 yards per catch in that 4-catch, 135-yard performance, or 140 something yard performance against ULM. I mean, he went off, and these routes were devastatingly simple. Just get them the ball, just like Poe English said. But Wildcat, I mean, only if you get to that. Tavion Falk, he's at least had some form of quarterback snaps. King Ulysses, my man. King Ulysses, what's up, man? He says, I believe Kiner is going to go for 100 plus in the game. You know what? I do too. I wrote that, in our LSU Odyssey, top 10 guys to watch out for, and Kiner was one of them. I have a feeling that Kiner, this is going to be a breakout game for him. I think he's going to be jumping over guys. I think he's going to be stiff-arming people. I think he's going to be spin-moving. I have done my best to try and pump him up in private conversation, of course, as well. Corey's awesome. Corey is an absolute beast. I really think he's going to do what he can with an offensive line that's mostly intact too. You got to think about it. We got at least one thing going for us. Our offensive line is mostly intact, at least as far as we know going into this game. Don't put me under any, say, hey, you said that this guy was going to be ready. Hey, if he's, positive for COVID tomorrow morning, you can't put that on me. Okay. Like this game has been very fluid, the availability of guys. I mean, it's just been madness. You're thinking like someone's going to trip and break their leg walking off the bus now at this point. Just cover everybody in bubble wrap and roll them into Energy Stadium, and you just hope there's no injuries during the game as well. There's a few players who did have COVID-like symptoms, and there was worries about COVID, but they tested out. Everything was negative, and they were allowed to travel to Houston and rejoin their teammates, and everything's good with that. And it's been an interesting, fiery vibe amongst the team in Houston. I think they're ready to go out there and absolutely bring some pain to Kansas State. I mean, that's just what I'm feeling. That's just what I'm hearing as well. It's just what I'm sensing from the players, their vibe of going into this game. They're wanting to show what LSU is all about. And this is some guy's last chance here. And I'm thinking of guys like Micah Baskerville too, who this was his last game at LSU, and he threw the chance away or had it taken away from him by the compliance team or whatever happened. But it's just a damn shame that Baskerville, a hell of a senior year, he can't be out there playing in the game, and it sucks because Baskerville would be perfect to bring along Mike Jones Jr. and Greg Penn. That would be a great trio there. But instead, it's got to be Mike Jones Jr., Greg Penn. I think Greg Penn is going to be another guy you got to watch out for. Same thing with Mike Jones Jr. We had them in our top 10 list as well. I think they're both going to show out. Greg Penn, every time you saw him play, was a hellraiser. He was damn good. Mike Jones Jr., he showed his versatility. I mean, he barely played, and he still ended up with 31 tackles. That brutal, vicious sack on Bryce Young, where he just deleted Bryce in the backfield. He's kind of shown out randomly here and there, and am stunned that we saw him just watching him on the sidelines for half of the season. It made no sense. Glad that we're finally seeing him play before he goes elsewhere. I think he wants to play for LSU, and this is the game where I think we can kind of seal that cat's future as a great here at LSU for the next few years. Adrian Perkins says K-State is a physical team. That's the thing. That's what I've seen is they're kind of meat and potatoes, physical, but they are an average defense as well, though. 225 in the air, I think it was, but 125 on the ground per game, though. That's going to be the thing. It might be hard to run against these guys. That's the thing. It's going to be a hard-hitting game. I agree with AD on that. I think both teams are going to bring the wood, and it's going to be physical. But at the same time, I think LSU is going to be the more violent team. I think Kansas State haven't seen an SEC defense like this. At the same time, though, we are beat up at corner. And how much will that kill us? When you're beat up at corner and then quarterback, there's so many unknowns going into a game when those are the two big worries. 1 second. Sorry, everybody. That was actually hilarious. Crisis averted. Ari the ferret was making her way up the stairs with a cookie in a bag. I was like, what the hell is going on? I could hear it. And we're always watching her. She cannot get away with it. She cannot. King Ulysses says, if K-State wins, it's by running the ball. I don't believe in their passing game, no matter who is playing. No, exactly, King. I mean, their leading receiver is the running back, Deuce Vaughn, but not only the leading receiver, but in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. I mean, that's Malik Knowles has 399, but that's just a yard less than Malik Neighbors on the season. A freshman who's only caught 26 passes. So, I don't believe in their receiving core. I believe in ours. Do we have a quarterback who can get our guys the ball? That's really what I want to know. I think we can. Just you're going to have to call it really simple. Tari Love, did I say that right? Tari, salute. What is up? How you doing? And King Ulysses says, yes, the offense I'm not to worry about. It's the defensive backfield where all my questions at. It's the defense backfield where all my questions at. Plus the LSU academic teams need to clean the house as well. I never heard of this many players being out. Yeah, Nick Saban's laughing at us. Nick Saban is scoffing at LSU right now, saying, oh, my God, what have you – I mean, you're letting your compliance department basically run your football program. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's hilarious. It makes no sense. Why would we let academics keep all these guys out? How could we not foresee this availability problem? I don't get it. Oh, it's all good. I got what you meant, man. And it's just LSU are gonna have to go with what they have, and we don't even know. That's the thing is I think it's kind of a great strategy. Just completely make it a surprise who the quarterback's going to be. and therefore they can't. They have no one to prepare for. Kansas State has admitted it. They have no clue who they're even preparing for, what they're preparing against as quarterback. So therefore, they have no idea. But do they have any tape on Tavion Falk? I doubt it. Do they have any tape on Matt O'Dowd if he somehow makes a recovery and is somehow playing in the game? I don't think so. Do they have tape on John Trey Kirkland at Lutcher? I think they could probably get some, but then again, that wouldn't show them where he's at in that stage now. He's taken practice snaps at quarterback, scrimmage snaps at quarterback last year when we were very, very low on guys. But do we really want to go with John Trey in his final LSU appearance at quarterback? I mean, why the hell not? Why the hell not? I mean, if Tavion Falk has any sort of hesitancy, isn't ready to go out there and absolutely obliterate Kansas State with everything he has, I say just let John Trey go for it because Choo Choo will give it everything he's got. I mean, do you want the ball in his hands though? Throwing those passes? This game is going to be so much fun, though, because this is going to be the most unpredictable, wild, most bizarre game you probably will ever see. The most disorganized, most not from a Brad Davis standpoint, but from just look at how the roster, what we're left with, what Davis and company are left to work with. It's going to be a wild 4 quarters, unlike anything you've ever seen, where you're going to be introduced to a variety of walk-ons you've never heard of before, and guys who might be, stamping their moment here to build off of this into 2022. There might be guys. Actually, no. I'm going to predict there will be guys who will definitely earn a scholarship from this performance because this is LSU with the most attrition we've had in what feels like since 1999. Can LSU avoid that first sub 500 season in the 21st century? I believe we can. But to do that, it's going to take just everybody kicking ass and taking names and just some serious commitment from the staff more than even the players. Jake Peetz has got to figure out how to get these guys open and how to scheme his offense in a more organized, more pedal to the metal manner than we've seen before. We haven't seen tempo enough. We haven't seen the West Coast schemes. He was supposed to be, supposed to be his bread and butter. We're not seeing any of that. And it's just a shame what Jake Peetz could have been and what he has turned out to be. And I don't know if that's Coach Ed Orgeron screwing it up or if that's, Jake Peetz. This is his fault. I wish Peetz would just come out and tell us, but he's probably too honorable of a guy to do that. And he's gone already. Mike Denbrock's got his job. So it really won't matter. But it would be interesting, when the book comes out to kind of ask Jake Peetz what happened there. Kevin Howell, what's up, Kevin? Kevo, he says, I hope we have an opportunity and find some new diamonds that have been covered up with depth. Kevin, I'm going to tell you about one right now. Philip Webb, defensive end. He had, I think it was 4 pressures off the bench against McNeese State. Philip Webb is a guy we really, I feel, have to see this guy. Have to see this guy for extended reps. We haven't seen him enough. More than enough. I mean, 2 years. 2 seasons of just wasted time for Philip Webb here at LSU when he has the same, well, maybe not the same, but a little similar athletic attributes as B.J. Ojulari. I feel like Philip Webb is a guy who is destined for greatness if developed properly. And he just has so far not been developed because he just hasn't gotten the game. This is valuable game time for him tomorrow. I mean, this is a game where Philip Webb could pick up 2 sacks, and I would not be surprised whatsoever. He's that talented. He's that much of a freak. And I think he needs to be given a chance here. Now, Chris Hilton, that's a name. That's a name that returns too. Chris Hilton. Chris Hilton returns. He had a knee surgery of some sort after the first few games of the season. One catch, I believe, on the year. 2 catches, maybe, I think. We need to see Chris Hilton in action. How healthy will he be? I'm not too sure, but I was shocked to see him on the roster, and I think it's great. It's a great commitment from him to be on the roster. He could have just said, well, I had a surgery. No, he wanted to get back as fast as he could. That's one hell of a Tiger. I think Chris Hilton, he could absolutely turn it good tomorrow. Kevin Howell, we may be low on numbers, but high on heart. I mean, it's cliche. It sounds like member of the Titans, but it's true in these type of moments. I think these young guys are going to be the leaders here. Jay Ward, a few of these other B.J. Ojolari, a few of these other elder statesmen are going to be kind of lifting guys. Of course, the offensive linemen who are Deculus, Ingram, of course, Jason Hines, Liam Shanahan. They're going to be doing what they can, but I really feel like it's going to be guys like Jack Besh who are going to be very vocal with this team, getting them and whipping them into gear. Adrian Perkins says the availability issues have to do with the guys who are supposed to be in charge of that just stop doing their job. Yep. But, he's supposed to be the CEO, making sure the people under him are doing that job. And when no one's doing their job in concert, it's. AD says Pete's wasn't done any favors by O, but there's something Pete screwed up himself. I mean, when you see the same plays run over and over and over and over and over, when it's like, bro, you know what the final result is going to be. Stop doing that. You got to feel like it's not just, you can't just blame Coach O anymore. This is on Pete's. And so that's why I feel like just both were screwing everything up. And Coach Orgeron was taking way too many liberties being involved in the defensive fronts, taking way too many liberties being involved in the running game and all that type of crap. Finally, once they got him out of the way, voila. Ty Davis-Price is a 1,000-yard season almost out of thin air because you finally actually blocked for the guy. What I've been telling you all season. And we come to find out there were roadblocks in these coaches' ways to actually figure things out for this team. And it's just sad what this team could have been this season, what 2020's team could have been this season, but we can't dwell on that right now. We need to turn the page to the Kelly era because this is going to be a high-octane 2022 team this fall. This team is going to be in contention. This team's going to be competing for a national championship, and what happens tomorrow, the feelings of tomorrow with feelings of tonight with everything being so held together by duct tape will become a far distant memory. And I think there's a lot of optimism in those type of thoughts. So, I cannot wait for this game. Buckle up because I feel like this game is going to be a fantastic wild ride. I think there's going to be Jay Ward's going to have some type of turnover. He's going to create some type of turnover. And I think Corey Kiner is going to go for over 100 yards, at least have one touchdown. Tavion Falk will start the game, my prediction. And I think Jontre Kirkland will also get in there for some Wildcat time. So I think both will end up playing at quarterback. I think Jack Besh will have around 80 to 90 yards and a touchdown. I think we probably won't do much in the passing game. I think our defense is going to be absolutely phenomenal. We're going to get a lot of sacks in this game. B.J. Ojolari is going to at least have two at least. Greg Penn's going to just litter the stat sheet with tackles with passes broken up. I think you're going to see a lot of coverage plays from our linebackers just going all out. They're going to be targeted, especially with these passes coming Deuce Vaughn's way. I think you're going to see LSU win this game. I think you're going to see LSU win a low-scoring game, though. LSU is going to win by the score of 22-17 over Kansas State. In Energy Stadium, the home of the Houston Texans, under the bright Tuesday night lights. I mean, for whatever circumstances going into this game have sucked, I'm excited for the guys who are going to play in this game because I think there's a chance here. Look at what Jackson Smith and Jigba did in the other game at the Rose Bowl for Ohio State. Just absolute 347 in the air. I mean, I feel like there's a chance for records to be broken in these types of games here. There's opportunities that are just wide open here against Kansas State, especially with our receivers against their DBs and our defense putting up crazy numbers against their very one-dimensional offense. I think you're going to see certain Tigers absolutely put on a few record-breaking performances here. I'm not going to say that they're all-time record-breaking. Someone's going to break the all-time receiving record. I'm thinking LSU team records. I think a few of those could be broken tomorrow by a certain few because it's wide open. Kansas State are not that good of a team. I think LSU are going to overpower them just barely because of the bone-thin roster, but I think you're going to see a strong, strong game from LSU for 4 quarters. Everybody, thank you for joining me. Hope you enjoy the game tomorrow. Check out all of our previews, our content right there on LSUODYSSEY.com. It's some, we cover pretty much everything about both teams going into this game, from who's going to be there for whoever, and it's all up in there. Go check it out. Everybody, have a good one.